Hello, everybody. And this is my Bloody Mary Really line I'm working on trying to create. So I thought I'd go and talk about the process of what this is and how I've done it and exactly what we are looking for. And we're going to tear apart this tank. This tank was completely reset to only good juvenile shrimp probably 3 or 4 months ago. And so what we're going to do here is we're going to pull all the moss out and get all the shrimp together, and we're going to call them really strict. It's not quite yet time for a complete reset, but we want to make sure that the first babies that were being born in here, they are reaching maturity. So we want to make sure there's not bad shrimp in here breeding. And then the next time we're on this tank, we'll completely reset it here in another 3 or 4 months. Alright, while I pull out the moss and stuff, I'll explain to you guys just how these guys come to be. So over the years, I've had thousands and thousands and thousands of Bloody Mary shrimp. Well, over the course of probably 2 years, I pulled out some really good looking rili shrimp. They're perfect Bloody Mary rilis. And those are too special just throw in the coal tank. So what I did was I would tuck them in a guppy tank. Well, eventually, apparently, I found enough males and female. I found at least a male and a female eventually. I don't even remember. It happened over so long ago. And I just tossed them in there. And then probably, of course, they didn't really breed that much because they were in with a whole bunch of guppies. But eventually, I started seeing several shrimp out and about. And some of them, I was like, oh, they're breeding. And some of them were actually pretty good Bloody Mary rilis. Now, I think when I took the guppy tank down, I was like, oh, I want to try this as a project and see if it goes anywhere. There's probably like 60 some shrimp in there and probably like a dozen that were pretty decent Bloody Mary rili types. And so, oh yeah, I forgot there's a whole bunch of rocks down here. Oh my goodness, look at that. Okay, but where was I? Oh yeah, there was like a dozen good ones. When I took the guppy tank down, I thought, I'm gonna see if this goes anywhere. And I think that was probably a year ago. And so I've been doing super good calling, resetting it when the population gets high. And, you know, a lot of people will be like, I want to start my own line. I want to do this, and this. Well, the easiest way to do it is when you have an existing line like this that just throws something unexpected and you get multiples of them. You put them in a tank and see what happens. You can also force certain phenotypes to pop up by mixing certain colors. I'm in the process of also making my own red rilis, and my reds never threw any rilis. So what I did with those was I know that if you mix blue jellies and reds, you can get red rilis. And so I threw in some blue jellies and within hundreds and hundreds of red shrimp in a tank. And sure enough, I started getting rilies popping up. So I started pulling those and isolating those, and I started to line that way. In this case with these guys, my existing Bloody Marys, I collected like 4 or 5 of them over the course of a couple years. Instead of just throwing them in a Skittles tank, I tucked them away in a guppy tank, and eventually I had boys and girls, and now we have this. And this is the result. What you see here, like I said, is after the result of a year of really sticking to it. I realized, okay, that's pretty cool. You guys are really throwing out some Bloody Mary rilies. And each time I do this, they get a little better and better. I done probably 4 of these big callings and a full complete reset. 2 complete resets. And they're just, this project as it is now is just getting to be a year old. You see, there's not tons and tons of shrimp. So when I do the full resets, I only keep the best juveniles, because even if the adults are good, they're from a previous generation, and as you go along, if you're doing it right, each generation will get more and more pure. So even though you have some existing, they still threw a bunch of culls because they're in the process of being lined out, if that makes any sense. So even if you have a really good old shrimp, you really want to replace it with, when you're doing this anyway, you really want to replace it with the next generation, because that generation is going to have more clean genetics. Hopefully that makes sense. I'm kind of confusing myself talking about it. No, it makes sense. So even if an adult is super good, you want to replace it with super good of the next generation. So you always want to go for your best young shrimp. You want to make sure they're old enough that you can see them, and make sure that they're going to be keepers. See, we still got full Bloody Marys being thrown, irregular patterns, but the percentage of really good ones is definitely getting higher and higher. So I think I'm going to go ahead and pull these rocks out and the rest of these plants so we can make sure we do 100% thorough as can be. And some of them will even be blue. And I've been using these guys when I do resets, all the adults and buried females. I've been putting in this project tank with some carbon red rilies to try to get the blue Bloody Mary really. And there's a good one right there. There's a couple right there. They're really starting to happen. And so I'm going to let this group breed out. And then when I go through and pick out only the best few of those. Because I think the further we go into the generations, the more we're going to get to pop up. And then we'll start the process of force. Oh, there's a pretty good old one. There's some definitely ones popped with the blue Bloody Mary really. So this is my have fun mad scientist shrimp tanks. There's a pretty good one right there. It don't really have red on its butt though. Alright, back to just the regular Bloody Mary rilies. Well, it seems like having all that rock work back there and tearing that up, there's too many goodies to get the shrimp to come all gathering up to the algae wafer. We got some, but as you'll see here, I am pulling out all the bad ones. I am being as absolutely picky as I can. There's a lot of ones with barely any red on them. There's some that are all red. They're still throwing Bloody Marys. And then we have the blue ones, and I'm pulling the blue ones and putting them in a separate container to put in the blue Bloody Mary red project. Well, I knew I didn't get all the little ones, even though I'd got tons and tons of them. But I feel pretty good about all the adults. Spent another hour picking the ones that were chilling out back here. And there's tons of little teeny tiny shrimp in here. Like I said, in about 3 months, this tank will be reset again. And in the meantime, I'm not just going to forget about it. I'll be pulling out bad shrimp all along too. But now we've got a bunch more bred out. I think we'll start seeing a lot of shrimp in here. Let's go look at the ones we pulled out. And you'll see here, we have a lot of fully red ones, lots of crazy colors. Some that have pretty decent colors, but not enough. There's a couple that didn't have enough red. There's a couple that didn't have enough clear of a middle, dirty middle. You see what we got there. Those are the kind of shrimp we're pulling. And these are the ones that, look, got some blue in them. So they're going to go in the blue project tank. Alright, let's put these in the Skittles tank. They're still really cool shrimp, I think. Of course, I like crazy off the wall ones. Pretty cool shrimp. Alrighty, I feel like I'm going cross-eyed staring at little teeny tiny shrimp for hours today. But I think we've made a lot of progress. We can talk about the ultimate shrimp nerd thing. Bloody Mary Rilies. The path I've gone down. Alright, everybody. For sure, creating your own line is not something, oh, we'll mix these together and have that. It takes years and years and years and years. Even if you get lucky and have something awesome just randomly pop up in one of your existing lines and try to line it out, just to get to this point, I am like 3 or 4 years into it. Look at those little tiny guys. I was trying to pick out the obviously full red ones, but it's pretty hard to remember that little. Alright, everybody. I'm gonna wrap this one up. Thank you guys for watching. Bye.